Yes boys, how are we doing? It's been a little while, hasn't it? Probably thinking, Morg, how are you? How are you, son? We've got upper today and Aaron has told me I can increase the intensity of my sessions up to 3 whole reps in reserve, which is actually quite intense to be fair. Still, you know, in a close proximity to failure. I'm going to show you my upper B session because I showed you upper A last time, upper B. There's a few exercises in there which are the same, but the warm-up is differently. The warm-up is different, so you can pick up those exercises and implement those into your session if you want to. I need to eat breakfast. It's fairly late. I say fairly late, it's 10 past 10, which for some people is quite late. For me, it's about normal time, to be honest. Next, we hydrate before we caffeinate. I'm not too sure why you do it that way around. I'm guessing this probably comes from this Huberman guy that I've seen fucking everywhere. He's a neuroscientist, I think. I don't know why I'm explaining who he is to you. You probably have heard of him like a shitload recently. But yeah, I'm gonna get at least a litre of water down me, some electrolytes, and then we will have some caffeine and crack on with some work. This, by the way, I'll show you something. This stuff, oh, #1 clear whey ever. It's not even close. Not even close. Glitterberry J2Os. Jim Fit posted this in his story the other day and I realised that is what it tastes like. If you've ever had one of them before, it tastes exactly the same, and I mean exactly the same. The only thing it doesn't do is fucking sparkle. Imagine if they made it sparkle as well, because the Command drinks, they sparkle. Not sparkle, they like shimmer a bit in the light. I would drink this if it was just cordial, if it had no protein in it. But the choice of caffeine is going to be this stuff, Command Strawberry Laces flavour. It's a bit too sweet, if I'm honest, but we're not drinking it for that. We're drinking it for the caffeine and also all the other benefits. It's got citicoline, theanine, L-tyrosine, and caffeine, so it's gonna turn me on. No, it's not gonna turn me on, it's gonna turn my brain on. Do you know what I've realised, right? All the tunes that your nan used to play on Smooth FM, I used to fucking hate them. Now, absolute bangers, certified bangers, mate. I don't know what era it's from. Is it the 80s? I think it might be the 80s, you know. They're absolute tunes, you know, them ones that you remember from the end of parties when you were a kid. They're the ones. They are the ones. Right, we're at the gym. I'm looking very ginger in this light. I need a tan ASAP. We're at the gym. Upper B is about to go down for the 3rd time ever, and we're on 3 reps in reserve, so we'll actually might be able to move some decent weight. Dumbbell press, I'm excited to see what I can press with my shoulder feeling a lot more stable. It feels good, but I've said this before, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. Got to make sure I do my prep work, make sure it's feeling good, everything's firing nicely. We won't obviously take it too far, but we'll see what weight we can move. It's been a while. Luke is already in there, I think. His car is sitting directly in front of me. It's actually covered in bird shit, so I would wash that if I were you, Luke. That one's a new one you had to see me do before, called the Lock 3 shoulder routine, and it's very good to be fair. My shoulders feel a lot stronger after doing that. So it's basically just in external rotation. I've got really light dumbbells, I think they're 2 kilos, but trust me, you feel it, and you've got to pretend almost like the floor or eggshells and really control it. It's obviously only a small movement, but that's all it is, those small muscles in your back, you know, your rotator cuff, teres minor, teres major, all those muscles, which are going to help to stabilise my shoulder joints. They only require a small amount of weight to work, and you have to just really focus on controlling it as much as possible. 8 reps on each one, so 8 reps there, 8 reps there, and then I turn my knuckles so they're facing the floor and do 8 reps there. 2 sets of that. And then that other one there, that one you've seen me do before in my upper A session. It's in both upper A and upper B, so starting with basically behind the back, external rotations with a band, and then the other one is like reaching forward as if you're in like a pressing position, but keeping that shoulder retracted in place, and then just externally rotating, and then finishing with a 2-minute hold in a push-up plus position, so basically keeping my shoulder blades in protraction whilst externally rotating. That one's tough to be fair, but it warms me up ready to go into my pressing movements. Right, first exercise we've got dumbbell press, flat press.
3 sets of 6 to 8, 3 reps in reserve. So like I say to my clients, your warm-ups are very important. You've got to make sure in your warm-ups that you're picking the right working weight that lands you within that rep range at the intensity that obviously you're working at. So if you're working to failure, you've got to pick a weight which you will fail between the rep range that you're being given. So for me, I've got to hit 3 reps in reserve, so it's within a close proximity to failure still, within that 6 to 8 rep range. So obviously I've not done a working set on dumbbell press for a long time, so I've got to use these warm-ups now to make sure that I'm using the right weight. First working set, we're going with 30 kilos. Can't remember the last time I pressed this amount of weight on dumbbells. Obviously it's not strong, it's not bad at all for having an injured shoulder for the last 18 months. Obviously I'm going to struggle to determine where failure is at the moment, just because it's been so long since I've trained all the way to failure. So we'll see how this goes, and if not, we'll just drop the weight. Perfect, absolutely nailed that. Judged it perfectly. I reckon that probably was around 3 reps in reserve, because that last rep is where it was just starting to get difficult. Like usually if I'm telling people to train to failure, when it starts to get difficult like that, when the concentric speed, so when I'm pressing up, when that starts to slow down, that's usually when people stop. That's just as you're starting to get going. That's just when you're hitting those effective reps, that 3, 2, 1, 0 reps in reserve. That's the range which you need to be working within on every single working set. Whether you like training to failure or not, you need to be training within a close proximity to failure to actually provide a stimulus. Set number 2, I'm just going to roll with 25 kilos. So obviously 30 kilos for 6, around 3 reps in reserve. We'll drop down to 25, probably aim for the upper end of that rep range, so 7 or 8 reps with the same intensity, and then we'll probably drop down to 22.5, so we'll stay on this, I'm not too sure. Depends on how set number 2 goes. Right, I'm going to have to hurry up here because the battery on my camera is about to die. We've got a landmine press. I've done this with no weight previously, but I've added a 5 kilo on there. 5 reps. This again is going to work your serratus anterior, so just think about pushing away and up as far as I possibly can. Feels good, that one does. After every time I do that, my shoulder just feels strong. I think it just really trains that serratus. You'll hear me talk about it over and over again, but it's just so important for like proper scapular movement. So it is a couple of days later. I think I filmed that on Monday. It is now Friday. I had my check-in from Aaron on Wednesday, my first check-in of this whole 12-week program, and he's made a couple of changes. So the changes which he's made are related to my wrist and my knee. So obviously I've got the shoulder injury, I've got the spondylolisthesis in my back, I've got the tumour in my hip, great, ideal, just what you want. And then I've also got clicking in my left knee, so I've got injuries all over the shop. Implemented a few things to help those as well. So the thing with the left knee, he reckons it is basically because my vastus medialis, so my teardrop muscle in my left leg, is not only weaker but smaller too. He reckons because of that weakness, my kneecap has actually shifted slightly, and as a result, my humerus is rubbing up against the cartilage in my knee, which is what's causing that clicking. It's not painful at all. Someone asked me to describe it in the comments on a TikTok video, and that's the best way I can describe it is when I get to a certain amount of knee flexion, so when I get quite deep in a squat, I feel the click, and it's at the same point every time. It's not painful, but it just is a bit annoying and a bit off-putting when you're trying to obviously take a set to failure. It's given me Poliquin step-ups, they're called, so I'll try those out next time I do upper, which will be, I'm going out tomorrow for the first time in 2023, so that will be on Tuesday, my next lower session. But he's also made a few changes to my wrist as well. So what he's given me is an exercise where basically you wrap a band round, like I've been wrapping it around my table, and then you wrap it around your wrist as well, and basically just rock back and forth, so like that. I don't know what the band does, how that helps in any way, but he's told me that it opens up your wrist joint and helps mobilise that, so I've been doing that and it has been helping with the wrist pain, to be fair. The rest of the upper B session, by the way, was I did a chest supported row on the prime neutral grip, which you will have seen me do before, usually on my pull days anyway. And then I also did a lat bias pull down, and then I finished with a tricep
push down, which I just did with crossbody push down, so 2 cables diagonal. So that was the session. Overall so far, I mean, we're 3 weeks into this 12-week rehab program, and as far as it's gone so far, I can only say positive things. He hasn't even, you know, touched me, he hasn't seen me, everything has been online. It's pretty mad what you can do without even actually being able to physically touch me. So if you've got an injury or anything, obviously I would recommend Aaron so far as being spot on. And if you've got any questions, obviously, about the rehab process, about my training program, obviously drop them in the comment section down below. Put like on the video if you did enjoy it, subscribe, and I'll see you boys in the next one.